So, we're joined now by Kiran Sidhu, who is the CEO of Halo Labs. Kiran, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Kiran, you guys today announced the release of the Shatterizer, and I had the good fortune to try the Shatterizer in California last time we got together. But why don't you tell me quickly what is the value proposition inherent in the Shatterizer? Why is it better than anything out there right now?
Well, first of all, it's the first of a series of custom devices that we're launching with our partner ELO for the DabTab line. Similar to what PAX has done with the PAX Era and Grenco Science has done with the Geo, except we're expanding the devices to suit the exact consumer. So the first one we've come out with is what for whom I call the professional dabber. So this device is, in my mind, equivalent to using a rig, or using a rig, with the torch, but it's on the go.
Right. Well, that's what I like about it, is because normally to dab, you've got to have your dab deck, your spike, your torch, your funnel, and then you've got to have your liquid, which is invariably you get it on you and your jeans and on everything else, and it's like sticky. It's sticky, especially after you've done it, and you're like a little bit more high than you're normally used to, probably, if you've got the real stuff. Then then it's just a disaster, because then your whole thought process about
this is a one-hit thing. Is this a one?
Well, it depends on your veracity of your lungs.
Okay.
For me personally, this is a good 3 or 4 hits, 1.5 to 2 hours. But to a professional dabber, we've made it such that this is a one very good strong hit. And I bet you were talking about a golf game. I bet you your golf game would much improve, especially your putting, after you use this. So I highly recommend this for your golfers. The other thing is, I heard a good piece of news this morning is that in Kelowna, Valens has gotten permission to use volatile extraction, which is great. So all the Canadians now can legally enjoy live resin and shatter. The creme de la creme, the cru de la cru of cannabis, hopefully sometime over the next 6 to 8 months.
Wow.
Because the method of extraction allows for pure
concentration.
Pure concentration. Because to date, volatile extraction is the way that pulls more of the cannabinoid spectrum and allows you to make different products like live resin and shatter that are more difficult to make with CO2. With CO2 you can make a wax, but you can't make a caviar style live resin or sauce with diamonds or really nice shatter.
Okay, let's stop right there for a sec, because you've just used some terms that, unless you've been a lifelong immersed in the extracts field, nobody knows what they are. So first of all, let's start with shatter. What exactly is shatter?
Well, what shatter is you take very high grade dried material.
So dried flower
or dried trim or dried bee buds. You put them in a volatile extraction method.
Volatile meaning either
butane or propane. And you use a column. You put it in a column and you bring in the solvent at a very cold temperature, and then you quickly turn it into gas. It will evaporate, and then a sludge will come to the bottom of the catch, as we call it, at the bottom of the column. You take that, and as you were making cookies or candy, you spread it openly for shatter on almost like a cookie pan. It looks like with a wax cover,
baking sheet,
yeah. And you put it in a vacuum desiccator that looks like an oven, where you apply pressure and temperature to purge out all the residual solvents. In California, you can't be left with 1 part per billion.
Wow.
Right? And then it hardens. Hence it's called shatter. And so if you drop it on a table, it would shatter. And then you pack it in nice wax, flat, and you sell it. And it's in Oregon, it's the largest, it's by far the highest selling concentrate.
Now tell me, how does shatter get from, like, the highest THC content of dried plant material will be, call it 30%, 35 in some cases. And how do you get to 80 and 90% shatter when you start with only 30% dried flower?
So let's first talk about shatter. Shatter typically is 50 to 60% THC. But it's full spectrum. Because remember, I'm taking the sludge, or what we call the precursor, out of the catch and I'm spreading it, and I'm baking it under pressure, okay? So I have a full cascade, full entourage, full cannabinoid spectrum. So therefore, it's not only psychotropic. So sometimes you smoke a vape pen and you're like, here, it's much more of what I call a full spectrum effect,
right,
which ironically a lot of medical users actually prefer, because with the CBD, CBN, CBG, it also works on the receptors in your body. And hence that's why people, as they evolve from the vape pens into the concentrates, prefer the Shatter or the live resin.
Okay, so Shatter isn't necessarily a concentrate then, it's just a pure extract that is full spectrum.
This is all a play on words. It's concentrated, it's the concentrated oleo resin from the flower,
okay,
that is full spectrum.
Right.
You're right.
Okay.
A full spectrum concentrate.
So now I hear about 80% Shatter, 92% Shatter. I've heard people using on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of dab and Shatter videos just because the discrepancy in the experience on an anecdotal basis that I hear from all these people is just like I can't put a finger on it.
Yeah, but I personally have never seen 90% Shatter. You can maybe take some distillate and sort of add it to it to increase the potency. Typically the Shatter we sell, and we've sold, well over 1 million, maybe 2 million grams of it since April of 2016, has a potency in the range of 55 to maybe 70%. But remember, as a concentrate user, you're not going after that pure THC psychotropic high. You're going after that full spectrum or broad spectrum effect that affects both your body and your brain. The way it naturally is supposed to occur.
Right. Okay, so then what is wax?
So wax is another concentrate.
Okay.
And it looks like wax. Where Shatter shatters, wax is like wax. So you can scoop it like candle wax. You can make wax from volatile processes, but you can actually make wax also from CO2 and ethanol processes.
Okay.
But it's very difficult, but certain people have done it, and it's very expensive. Through ethanol, you can still make a form of Shatter. So maybe the form of Shatter that your folks are talking about is the very, very high-end one that you may make from an ethanol process.
Okay, I'm still confused.
I am too.
Is it possible that everybody's confused and everybody's using all this interchangeably and that...
Oh, so the names, like there's butter, there's, there are all these names, but there's clearly Shatter and there's clearly live resin. Live resin, for instance, is by far the most desired concentrate in California. And live resin is different from Shatter in the effect that live resin starts with a whole plant, the whole usable marijuana plant, frozen, flash frozen in the field, which preserves the cannabinoids and the terpenes, the flavors. And then you take that, you never let it thaw, and you put that frozen content in the column. And then that makes a caviar-like substance, which is known as like live resin, which is considered the highest, the cru de la cru of concentrates.
Really?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what we sampled down in California last time.
I remember that.
You do?
You laugh more than you typically do, which is kind of rare.
Well, not really, actually, interestingly.
But the resin is not what? Is that the wax? No.
No, wax is, again, a separate process. There's so many different types of concentrates, but predominantly you'll see Shatter, and another name for it in Nevada is cured live resin, and then you'll see live resin. And now you have even a more esoteric version developing called terp sauce with diamonds, where you actually put it in a pressure cooker for 2 to 3 weeks. What comes out of the catch, typically the live resin, and then it separates into the sauce and into the diamonds.
Okay.
And diamonds are basically THC honeycombs.
Okay, so crystalline THC.
Correct.
So we also used to occasionally encounter pure THC in a powdered format that was crystalline in nature. That would give you almost I call it a hallucinogenic
Right.
complete body stone
Really?
effect. Yeah,
That's
my 16th birthday. I did pure THC.
That's THC isolate.
Right.
And it's in the states we operate in. It's not as desired as more of these natural forms of, in terms of in the concentrate market.
Right, right.
Obviously, when it comes to THC, it's all about the flavor. When you distill and you have a vape cartridge and the concentration you prefer. Do you prefer 80 to 85, 90? What do you prefer? Do you prefer your terpenes to be a lavender or a food grade terpene, a bubble gum? In Oregon, you can't use Skittles, but an M&Ms or what have you.
Sure.
In California, I think you can. Don't quote me. Please, the audience, I don't know if I'm right there. But in any event, the vape pens are a different segment. God, this is a lot for a former banker and, guy from banking to learn. But having Pat Collins since 2013, you learn a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So one of the guests in the one of the viewers in YouTube is saying that Halo Labs has a goal: $1 billion. SP will become $5 USD in the future. Many sell the stock now, but why?
I think that the issue with us, sell the stock now, has to do with we historically, until the Buffalo acquisition, have been an organic growth company. And we've grown considerably organically. But right now it seems like there's a very big trend in the market to either to merge and to grow. So I think part of what we have to do to achieve a value, let's say sometime in the future, I wouldn't say $1 billion, but I would say if we can double our value or double our share price, we're going to have to look at acquiring or look at merging with companies that make logical sense, that fit with us in the near term.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How long did it take you to get approval in Oregon for that product? Like, what's that process go like? Like, you submit the product?
Well, yeah, I think in Oregon, it's pretty extensive. So you have to submit the product, you have to submit the packaging. In Nevada, everything has to be food grade. So there's a whole extensive series of, what is the SOP for the project? Every state varies a little bit, but it is a myriad of,
Once you're approved in one state, it's obviously, or no?
Not really. Every state is its own island, and they don't really, they really don't look at it that way. They look at approving you in every state a little differently.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so now what's your anticipated uptake of this product in, for example, the California market?
We think in the California market, this product is going to sell well. And even though with the DabTab, you don't necessarily need a custom product, what the feedback we got from our dispensary partners is you definitely want to have a custom product. And this product's great, as you said, because it's portable.
Right.
It's portable dabbing, and it's portable doseable dabbing. So this is, remember, the DabTab's the first American National Standard Institute, doseable device for cannabis. Mm-hmm. And the other cool thing about it that you didn't show is that it's all in one go, right?
Well, your stash can be right.
Your stash is right in here, right? So that's kind of cool.
You get very much in there.
You can get 4 to 5 in here.
Which is enough for us to be stoned for about
definitely.
2 weeks.
One is good enough.
What does this retail for? This right here?
I think this is
five?
retailing. No, you buy one. I think this is retailing in the region, depending on local taxes, between $79 to $99, and it comes with your charger. It comes with an extra bowl, an extra ceramic bowl, and it comes with some extra washers. So this product will last you probably a good year and a half, and then maybe a year, and then maybe you get some more replacements for it. Mine's going strong without a replacement after a couple of months, and I have a prototype.
I'm a pot user, but I don't know the answer to this question. Does the marijuana come with that, or or do you have to?
No, you have to buy that separately.
Okay, so this is
you buy the tabs. This is a device.
You're not getting free.
No, this is a specialized device designed to take the DabTabs, which are 10-sided.
Your
tiny tablets?
These are DabTabs we license from a sister company called ELO, but we have exclusive rights in Nevada and California.
Okay.
Wow. So how soon till we can legally smoke live resin in a DabTab, in the Shatterizer, in Canada?
Got to go talk to the guys who are doing volatile extraction.
Really?
I would say probably, it's Health Canada, so it's a government health agency.
Yeah.
They don't do most things on time.
Right.
So I would say probably within 9 months.
Okay.
This is, there's some Canadian LPs already looking at this, have asked for samples and are poking around with it.
Right. But I don't need to use just a DabTab. I could stick like a tiny bit of dried flower in there.
Not on this one. This is a custom device, a custom rig, as we call it, for the DabTabs. And this is what the dispensaries asked for. So it could be a paired product like the Pax Era, like the Grenco Geo. Mm-hmm. The first one we have done is at a price point of $79 to $99, but it's a strong product. So you can get a real good dab. Okay. The second one, which is called the Go, which will be released in the next 3 months, looks more like a vape pen, and you just pop it in there, but it doesn't give you, it's more of a slow draw vaporizer type of effect. Mm-hmm. So there are two devices that are addressing two different market segments.
Cool. All right, so now I want to talk a bit about the Buffalo acquisition and Lesotho as a country and as a methodology for supplying Europe.
Correct.
So we've seen Afria, Canopy, Aurora have all made moves into Lesotho, and I'm at a loss to understand how that equates to supply to Europe.
So don't forget Supreme as well.
Supreme
they were
as
the
well.
first.
Right.
Remember they paid what, $10 million for a 10% stake in a business plan.
Right.
Which is now, with all respect to Nav and his team, it's a beautiful operating facility. And also our good friends over at Bedrocan in Holland, who I think will soon be entering Canada at some point again. They blasted a side of a mountain and are putting a very large indoor there. I think the reason that everyone is there is because from a legislative standpoint and from a geographic standpoint and from a historical standpoint, Lesotho is one of the best places on the planet to grow. Okay. And our strategy there is a little different than others. So I have this saying, there's the T, which is THC, and then there are all the Cs. And all of them grow on one plant, which is the marijuana plant. On the hemp plant, down to industrial hemp, a lot less of the Cs grow and very little T grows. But it's the same genomic sequence. So you would sort of look at industrial hemp plant as myself, and you would look at a cannabis plant within the same sequence as an Arnold Schwarzenegger. The beauty of Lesotho is we can grow Arnold Schwarzeneggers outside that make tons of Cs, so we have much more efficient extraction, and a lot of T, which we can bank for when T becomes more prevalent. But all of those Cs, CBG, CBN, and most importantly CBD, are fairly loosely regulated. And so depending on the oil we make, we can export it even to the United States.
Right.
So our strategy is a revenue strategy over the next 6 to 9 months focused on the Cs in a place that gives us a unique competitive advantage with the ability to grow cost effectively cannabis plants to manufacture the entire cannabinoid, the entire spectrum.
Right, as extracted products that can be shipped to Europe because they're EU GMP certifiable.
That is for the T. The T is that way. The C isn't that way. However, with the C, the C's being CBD, CBG, CBN, with those, it's very important to understand that we want to be global gap and what's known as FFC 22000, which means that they're made to the highest standards. So, one day a company like General Mills or Heinz Foods or someone enters the business, they're going to be looking for a supplier that's global gap, that treats their employees fairly, that respects the land, that recycles the water. That to us is almost a more important standard than CGMP. Because as we were in Europe, and one thing I learned in Europe is that the entire imports, and I could be wrong with this fact, but what Bedrocan was telling me was the entire imports to Germany last year of THC was about 100 to 150 liters. If you remember, our targeted capacity in our 1,700 square foot facility in California is 100 liters. And we easily sell 3 to 4, say 300 liters a month in California at this point. So you can imagine that it's a small market. However, the CBD market is booming worldwide. It's an absolute booming market. And so to be able to use the cannabis plant, which is sort of the Arnold Schwarzenegger, where others can't use, and whether you grow here in, you know, in Canada, in British Columbia, or you grow in Kentucky, the world is separated. So you have the seed to sale THC world into dispensaries, and there's an iron wall there, and then you have this industrial hemp world into CBD. The beauty is, in Lesotho, that wall doesn't exist. So you can grow a plant and extract what you want and sell it where you want, subject to the importation laws of the other country.
Right. So a cannabis plant that's high in THC and CBD is obviously going to produce a much lower cost of concentrated extract on the other end than will a hemp cannabis plant that's running 2 to 5% CBD and almost no THC.
Brilliant. That is exactly it. You hit the nail on the head. And the ability to do that in Lesotho is key.
Right.
And it's an ability for what I call instant on revenue. And not instant being today or tomorrow, but by say late Q1, Q2. Because we're already popping those seeds. We're already starting that. We're already doing a 1 hectare indoor grow, right, for validation. And then we have conditional permission to already grow outside, right? And the other beautiful thing about it is that we'll obviously install our own seed to sale tracking, but we can self-regulate to the extent we do.
Right.
Right. And so it'll be I'm telling you, there's a reason why Canopy, Afri, and everyone's there. And I think that's part of the reason.
All right, Kiran. We're going to leave it there for now.